In my previous video, I stated that I would like to see PlayStation 4 games running at a native 1080p at a smooth, solid 30 frames per second with VSync enabled, so there wouldn't be any screen tearing and the frame rate wouldn't be going up and down all over the place. That is the most important thing to me, because the consoles are enclosed and they can only push the graphics so much if they want to run at 60 frames per second. And this is always going to be the case with consoles. There's always going to be a limit. There's always going to be aspects that get more priority and treatment than other areas, and I hope graphical fidelity is at the top of their list. Followed by the resolution, because the resolution is how the graphics is presented to us. If they relegate it to 720p, it basically puts to shame their hard work and there's jaggy lines all over the place. But would you actually prefer this, that they lock it at a solid 60 frames per second, the action on screen is very fluid and the animations are smooth as a baby's arse cheeks? If we're talking in a competitive sense, I believe a solid 60 frames per second is necessary. But for a single player game that isn't a fighter or a shooter, should they really reduce it to such a lousy resolution? I just don't see the benefits. Single player is to get immersed into a story, to get immersed into the gameplay, and you can still enjoy it at 30 frames per second if it's capped, if it's not running all over the shop. I guess it comes down to two types of gamers. Do you feel you accomplish something if you complete a game? Or do you get lost into the fiction, whether it's GTA, Final Fantasy or Metal Gear Solid? I want it to feel like the character's heartbeat is my own. If they succeed, I succeed. If they get found out, so do I. I want to get caught up in the cutscenes. For those brief moments of time, I want to escape reality. I have tinnitus, it can become unbearable. And I am positive that there is many of you who watch me that have conditions or problems. And you too want to escape. And for me, the graphics and the resolution achieve that goal more than a solid 60 frames per second. Especially when we talk on consoles, because sometimes they can only have one or the other. Sometimes we get the luxury of both. But if you had to choose, if there was a decision to make, would you have 1080p at 30 frames per second, or would you knock it down to 720p at 60 frames per second? You've been watching a beast.